Sorry, I got the double thing in my ears. So today I'm looking forward to this. I've got a few of my own little games and really interested to hear about other people's. It's quite exciting. So yeah, games are fantastic because they encourage learning. Learning should be fun, and that's what we're here to do, is to make it fun for them so they learn better.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Sammy. Terry?
No, exactly the same as Sammy. I'm looking forward to some great games, some that I can nick, like Ian's going to do. And yeah, it's about creating that environment where learning can take place. And games are great because they're learning. They don't even realize they're learning. And that's why they work so well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Thanks, Terry. Neil, your version, please.
Yeah, much the same as the other two. I'm looking to see what everybody else does. I think games are important because it makes people think about things more. It makes them a little bit more competitive as well, which starts to introduce learning into that as well, because they want to catch up and beat you as well. So that's good.
You're doing, nice. Interesting. Thanks, Neil. Kev?
Yeah, I'm looking at all the others and also the reasons why we play games and the benefits as well. I think sometimes that's we like playing games because it makes it more interesting and fun, but what is the reasons why behind what we do?
Yeah, it is why we do what we do. So there may be some people, because what I'm thinking about is the overview of this. So for some people, what they might be thinking about when we're talking about playing games is that we're trivializing the learning. And I think it's far from what I'm intending to do. It's creating that learning environment. And obviously, this is all according to that person, that driver. If they are not somebody who's going to be engaged in playing a game, or if they're going to find it patronizing, then obviously it's not the right thing to do. So please, let's just get that out of the way to start with. This is about those people like me who would love it. I would love it. Life is all about having fun, from my opinion. Excellent. Let's go for someone who wants to get the ball going then, because I've got. Where's Keith? Keith sent me an email already, and this was here before the last one. But he's already come up with one, so I'll start the ball rolling with Keith's version. It's also a learning point. He's talking about when you change seats, so changing roles, and they become the instructor, and I become the student. He also specifies they can't use the dual controls, but they've swapped over, but he mimics being the learner. I'll keep driving, but I'm going to keep asking you questions like, am I in the right gear, and so on. Am I in the right position? And it's a lot of fun, and it gets them looking ahead into all situations and gets them talking out loud. This also lets me see what they're seeing and thinking. So I really like that. And he says he's had many a laugh. I don't know, I'm presuming you guys have all done similar? I have. It's a lovely one. I have got a list. I do have a list of some of the things that I would like to mention at some point. But I'd rather go for you guys first. Who's got one? Who's got a good game? Sammy, go for it, and then Mick.
Well, it's a little bit similar to that, kind of, but it's guessing what's around the bend. So they have to guess what's there before they get there by getting all the information out for, signs and road markings, and so it's scanning, isn't it? So they're building the scanning skills, looking for as many clues as they can, and they don't realise they're learning at the time, of course, because they're having fun doing it. And then when we get round the bend, they get I play loads of games, and every time they get something really right, they get 5 minutes time bonus. And what those time bonuses all add up to throughout the whole driving career is on the day of the driving test, they get free time.
What a brilliant incentive.
So
That's a
you know,
cheeky.
so that's one of the games. I've got loads more, but I'll just share that one for
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I think.
Yeah.
What I also like, Sammy, is how the potential of that in terms of driving for life. It's one of the best ways to maintain focus. You know, when we're all driving and we're doing those dreadful routes that we know really well.
Yeah.
If 70-something% of crashes happen within 3 miles of the home or 3 miles of the workplace, that's when we're most at risk. So doing those kind of
the good thing is to take them somewhere they've never been before and do it, rather than places that they know already. You know, it's just a really good game, and it's anticipation, isn't it? It's awareness of everything. So looking at you know, links like mirrors turned in from cars and things like that could mean that it's going to get tighter.
It's all of that. Yeah, absolutely. So
all
there's both versions. Roads you don't know. Roads you don't know, roads you do know, and the possibilities and the diversity of both of those. Mick, you were next. Thanks, Sammy.
Hi everyone.
Got your
this one was I'd got four games the other day and I couldn't think of the fifth one, and then Dawn Morton, one of my PDIs, reminded me of this one. So this one I use, and it improves some of the senses of the drivers. So we've all had that driver that doesn't grasp when to change gear. You know, they're always late or early. So what I do is we swap roles, same as our Keith said. We swap roles. I go in the driver's seat and I drive, but I get the learner to sit in the passenger seat with their eyes closed, so they can't see what's going on, and therefore what they're doing is they're heightening their senses, the sense of hearing and also how the car feels. So they're working just on them two senses. We get them to do things like tell me when to change gear, when to change up the gear, when to change down the gear. Tell me when I'm braking and when I'm speeding up. When I'm going around a corner, which direction the corner is. Is it left or is it right? To start with, they're all over the place, but then after a couple of minutes, they then get the senses and they tune into it. So that when you swap them back again, you tend to find that the gear changes become more natural because they are actually listening to it then, because of the extra senses that they've developed just in that short little drive. Yeah,
brilliant. They also find out that they're motion sick too, I'm sure.
No, it's only short drive. It's only 5 minutes. Unless it's Dawn, then when it was Dawn doing it, I just kept on it for ages.
Yeah, no, no, it's true. It's a really good one. Really good one. Thanks, Mick. Phil was next.
Yeah, a little bit like Sam is in some way. I don't know if you can see that. I usually draw 2 road signs.
No, you'd have to go really close, really close.
End sign at the top with underneath it, that's supposed to be a duck, wildfowl on the road. So it's getting them to think about actually what a road sign means. So give them the 2 signs and say, right, we've got the left bend. What's around the bend? Possible ducks or something on the road. Where do ducks live? What are you likely to find around a pond where the ducks live? Which side are people going to park their cars if they're visiting the pond? So just getting them to think outside the box and really expand on what's there. So hopefully then road signs become more than just a little picture to them. They actually can think then, a little bit like Sammy, what's around the corner, really trying to predict what's going to possibly happen. So that's when I like playing with them, and I usually send it home. And you can do it with most road signs, the plane sign, the overhead plane sign, which obviously live in near Gatwick. We've got a few of those around. But yeah, so that's a game I like playing with them.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. You just reminded me of something. I was trying to draw it. I'll have to put it on there. I'll have to put it later on. But you've just reminded me of another one, Phil. It's a similar thing, but it's about interpretation and intuition. It's just literally showing a picture, one of those confusing ones, where if you look at it a certain way, you see a duck. If you look at it another way, you see a cat, I think. Is it a cat? It's a duck. No, a duck and a rabbit. Yeah, I'll put it on later. But it's just, you can do all sorts of things. You can be creative, can't you? You can just have stock things.
Yeah.
And it's people's interpretation. Because it's
Yeah.
similar to a mixed thing. It's an interpretation of the exact moment to change a gear, or the exact kind of something a road sign means. It's an interpretation, but the interpretation in itself raises awareness. It brings a different alertness, making up words. Thank you, Phil. Terry was next. Thanks, Phil.
Morning, everyone. Mine's called Save the Fish. So, what are you laughing at?
I would love to learn to drive with you. I just really would love it.
So we've all had a pet goldfish in the olden days, well, most of us have. If not, we just make something up. And I say to them that I've got a magic bowl on my lap, a magic fish bowl. And the water level is always at the very top of the bowl. So if a bit of water comes up, the bowl drops. Depending who it is, I tell them I got it from Rivendell in the Lord of the Rings. It's magic made by the elves. Anyway, sidetrack. And so they pick a time, 20 minutes, half an hour, and they've got to keep as much water in the bowl as they can. Otherwise, the fish is going to die because they'll run out of water. So every time they've got to make decisions. So every time they stop or change gear or steer, they've got to tell me how much water dropped out at that point. So they've got a choice: 2 centimeters, 1 centimeter, half a centimeter. And we've got a little bit, get a bit of A4. I just draw the magic vase and the water level, and I take off each time. And if they've got any water left at the end, the fish survives. If they haven't, oh, fish is dead. Didn't save the fish, man. So we've got to try again if they want, make it smooth. What can we do? Blah, blah, blah. So save the fish, people.
Save the fish. Independent
the
drive
fish a
to
name.
the aquarium to buy a new fish. Yeah.
Or the fairground.
Save the fish. Absolutely. Thanks, Terry. Was it someone else next? Was anyone else got one? Oh, Neil, thank you.
Okay, so on that sort of level, same as Terry there, with my PDIs to get them to drive smoother, we have a plastic plate on the dashboard with a ping pong ball, and the ping pong ball's got to stay on the plastic plate, else it's a forfeit time. Yeah, so it's the same sort of thing, really. It's just got to make the driving smoother, keep it smooth.
What is the forfeit, please, Neil?
Whatever you want it to be. Monetary if you want.
We're all doing dreadful things. Can I remind you guys to think along the lines of, can you play games with, I know we're talking learners here, and we often go to the learner market. Those of you that are doing a lot more, sorry, I know Mick and Neil, you're talking about PDIs as well, but there's also the fleet market. And I think that's where you can get a lot of games and those kind of interesting things going on as well, because those people aren't really interested in having any further education. They know they've got their further license. They don't need it. All they do is need to do their time with you as a fleet trainer until they can go do their job again. So there are some of those I'll bring up later if other people don't. I think, Sammy, you already mentioned one last week that we've played with in the past, haven't we? She switched off, so she's not listening to me.
Yes. I've got a few. Yeah, so just come to me when you want.
Yeah, do it now, because no one else has put their hand up.
Well,
Mick, get you in a minute. Okay.
Well, I have got something that's maybe a little bit different. Is that I have these cards, these mood cards. When they're kind of really frustrated about something, or they've got some negative feelings, I get them to identify it on a card, because sometimes they find trouble identifying what it is that they're feeling. So let's say that, for instance, this one is a frustrated card. And then on the back of it, it's quite good for me as well, because on the back of it, it's got these questions as well. So what's the cause of the frustration? What part are you playing in this situation? Do you like the view you have of yourself? How can you do things differently from now on? And then at the bottom, it's got like a little affirmation. I rise above the frustrations in my life through love, hope, and good sense of humour. And then I've also got positive ones as well. So I've got a set of negative feelings and a set of positive feelings. So I try and get them to then relate to a positive feeling as well when they see the benefits of what they've just done. So
Nice.
that's something that I do. It's quite good.
Yeah.
It's had some really good results for personal growth rather than just driving.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice one. Di, you're after Mick, because Mick did his first. Thanks, Sammy. You'll have to help me redress mood. Yes. Mick.
Yeah. No, there's two really in this one. No braking, but also no stopping, which I use for learners, but also fleets. PDIs. I've even done it with a guy on a trailer course. He drove about 20 miles out of Beverley, around the top, back into Hull and into Beverley without stopping. He used his brakes, but only occasionally, only when he really needed to. And he'd been driving for 15, 20 years, something like that. And he was amazed at how little he needed to use his brakes whilst towing a trailer as well. And he was over the moon with that. So that's a good one especially for the more experienced learners, obviously, but fleets, PDIs, trailers, anything like that.
Yeah. No, I love that one. It's one I've got to cross off my list then. Try not to stop anyway. Cross that one off. I knew we'd all double up. That's why I had to write mine down.
Once they can do that, no braking.
Yeah, unless you choose to use that, because I can hear lots of danger people going, you can't do that, you can't do that, because it is. Yeah.
There's a caveat on that. You've got to put the caveat on that as well, that unless you need to. But try to.
Unless you're using it as in the same way as your indicator.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Di.
Hello. Yeah, I think games have two purposes really, either development or distraction. And I think with fleet drivers, it works really well with distraction. So once you've seen them drive to their best ability, just have a conversation that doesn't stop. You know, if you get really interested in them as they're trying to actually deal with something, they lose their focus. Yeah, and then you just pull them over and say, okay, let's talk about this last situation. Why were you feeling so frustrated? Can you imagine any time in your working day where that might happen to you? Or I might pretend that I'm late for my next appointment.
Yeah.
Very close to the end of the session, I'll say, oh God, is that the time? Can you get back to your place of work, say in 10 minutes? And I'll just keep going, come on, gonna be late. And then when we get there, we actually discuss it, you know, as to how that made them feel, what pressure they felt, how it affected their driving, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. I'd be terrified as well if you were saying that and they're sitting next to me. And I know you. I would freak out.
Worry, isn't it? It's a worry.
It is. Kev, I saw you, but Neil was first. I mean, you can point, but I don't know who you're pointing to.
There's a question just coming from Steph. She wants to know where Sammy got her cards from.
Sammy, where'd you get your mood cards?
My mood cards, you can get them on Amazon. It's Edison Books, Stacey Siddons mood cards, and on the back.
Sammy, can you do a link on Facebook as well, or you know, what it is, a description?
Yeah, I'll do a link. I'll pop a link up. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Kev, was that what you wanted to say?
No.
To bring Neil. Neil,
I've got a new one.
Oh, good.
I got a new game.
I thought you said you've got to do one, and I thought, yeah, I've been telling you that for ages. Neil,
I've got
what
to do
have you
lots
done?
of stuff, Fiona. I've got to do lots of stuff. But that'll take too long to go into. But anyway, a game I play.
Neil's muted himself, so yeah, I'll go for your game, please. Excellent.
It's being someone else, driving as someone else.
I haven't done that for ages.
And it can be anyone. It can be someone like drive like Lewis Hamilton. You know, obviously we do it in a safe area, but or they can drive like their mum or dad, and then getting to notice a difference afterwards. What did they notice? What did What did their mum drive like, and what did it feel like? So using that.
I like that one. Yeah, I haven't done that for ages. Not that I've done all the games. I've never had a fishbowl on my lap.
No.
No, I don't want to get wet. So.
I've got another one later, but anyway, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, loads of people. Who was it after? Was it you, Terry? After I've forgotten already. Yeah, Terry.
The next one's called Gimme Jawache.
I nearly misheard that.
Why is everyone looking down, looking like, what's he going to say next? Does it see mixed face? And Dies, and Linda's, and Phil's. Anyway, Gimme Jawache. Basically, I'm only going to speak if they do something well or nicely. And I'm going to comment on it like great mirrors or lovely speed or great or something. So the more they can make me talk, the better. As simple as that. So if I'm quiet, that's no good. And as most of you know, it's not often I am quiet. So keep me talking, keep doing great things so I can mention it. Everything you're doing well.
That's a lot of fun, actually, because then you can actually go the extra, and I can't keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah,
Look at all this stuff I'm doing well. You
yeah.
know, it's great.
There's a lot of potential in that. Right. If there isn't anyone else putting their hand up, I'm going to come up with one. It's one everybody knows, but I'm just going to remind you guys of it. The bank robbery start. You've all done it. The get away quickly. Safe environment. Somebody who's getting frustrated with the. But as soon as there's the frustration level there, where they know, and to break the tension of that pulling away at the traffic lights or pulling away at the roundabout when there's only the smaller gap and it's harder to judge, to go somewhere to a really safe environment and then have the door open, slam it and shout, go, go, go. I mean, it's a lot of fun, that one. And I did do a thing where we bought masks. He said, we need to dress up for this. He ended up taking photographs. I haven't laughed so much for a long time. It was hilarious because he was taking photographs. We were stationary, keys out and all the rest of it. He was taking photographs and he was doing the noises. And so every time I'm trying to do a bank robbery start, he's going, oh, and he's making all these noises while we're trying to take photographs. It was just that we wanted to do it for the article commission. But there you go, bank robbery starts. Everyone knows it. Terry, go for it.
A good one for older people is do the bill. And I'm D.I. Burnside. And I open the door, half one leg out, one leg in, and I've got to jump in and go, 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 because they're going to chase the bad ones, the bad boys. What do you call them? The
criminals.
Thank you. That's the word I wanted. Criminals. And I jump in and go, 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 and then, you know.
That's it. So it's a similar thing to the bank robbery start.
Yeah,
it's just
a bit older.
You're the good guys and we're the naughty ones.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something telling in that.
I think there is.
A bit of my conscience, maybe.
You could add to that by saying, follow them at a distance where they can't see us.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's another nice one. Yeah, yes. Follow Terry incognito. Yeah, don't get caught being that. Nice. Yeah, Di, I've got you. Off you go. Mind you, I'm still scared from you telling me to hurry up. Going home.
A couple of games for outside of the car, for actually getting out of the car. Somebody had a problem with reverse bay parking. And so we both got out of the car, we stood next to each other, and they had to pretend they were steering. And they had to pretend they were the car. And they had to react to what their hands were doing, and I'd just keep up with them. So I'd still be sitting next to them. So quite often we used to bump into each other, or she'd be steering one way and going the other way, but it just helped her to understand what would happen in response to steering without actually having to control the car. So that was one outside the car. Another one outside the car is if they're having problems emerging on roundabouts, was actually get them outside the car, get them stood by the roundabout, and to step forward each time they would emerge. Because you know what it's
Oh,
like roundabouts. You know,
nice.
if they get it right, they only get it right once because you're on and you're off. If they get it wrong, they get it wrong and they get it wrong, and then they build up this horror of roundabouts. But if you can get them outside of the roundabout and actually get them to watch the flow of the roundabout, look at the blocking cars, and say, right, we're emerging from that exit there. I just want you to take one step forward when you would emerge, when you feel it's safe to emerge. So that's quite a good game.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love both of those. I really like that one. I've done similar things with roundabouts. In Colchester, we've got a car park that's raised above double roundabouts. They're changing the junction now, so I lose it. But it is one of those where you literally go and I say, tell me what you notice. And you can go through all the things. So you're talking about destination, you're talking about lanes, where people cut up, where do you think that driver is going? Where would you? And then you can literally see them after 5-10 minutes relax. But it's I'm not doing it with everybody, it's only those people. So getting out, what I like about your bit, Di, with saying step forward is, especially if you get them to step forward with the right foot, you've actually got the physical, it's physically reinforcing. So if you make sure they step forward with the right foot, it's gas down, clutch up, and it's almost Kev's NLP, where you're reinforcing things with different areas of the body. And what do you call it? What do you call it, Kev, when you do a squeezy thing?
What?
Yeah, anchoring. It's a sort of anchoring thing.
Yeah.
Anchoring. I thought of Terry and I thought about what the word was.
Anchor.
Yeah. So I really like that. And the other thing you said just then, Di, was, what was the other thing you said, Di? What was the other? So it was outside of the roundabouts and something else.
The other one was the bay parking.
Walk through.
Bay parking. I've done that where someone, she was very vocal. I won't do the swear word. She said, I can't do this, Fiona. I'm a dancer. So we got out the car and she described to me, and I had to do what you did, you know, when you just pace with somebody, and she was literally doing a turn in the road. So I had to just walk next to her, but she was doing all of the observations as well. She's a dancer. She was using the environment like the stage. It was what she knew. It only got really bad when she said, right, I've got that one now. I want to do parallel parking the same way. And we were standing next to this, and it was in a really nice affluent area. And we were both pretending to parallel park, but the gardener came back and started opening the van and putting all his lawnmower stuff in. And I said, I'm sorry, we're parallel parking around your car without a car. And he said, you carry on. It was just really embarrassing. She was fine with that. She was, you know, used to being on stage. But it's using people, isn't it, and doing it.
It is without them having the pressure of actually driving the car. So it takes away that you know, pressure.
That's it. Really. But it's that thing where you're using people's previous skills, and this is what, you know, even the examiners are looking for that sort of thing. I don't know how they'd feel about it, but it's brilliant. It's just the learning that took place. She learned 2 maneuvers minimum on that 1 hour session because it was learning her way, and it was just permanent, absolutely permanent. Is there anything from Facebook got you, Neil? I'm so glad you did a little bit of movement.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the one I use to improve observations is what I've mentioned the other week, where we look for sale signs and try to get the pupil to say who's selling the house before I can. And that improves observations, and then you can take them onto big roundabouts or small roundabouts, junctions, and that just improves that all the time. So that's a good one for me. It also does get quite annoying for the parents, I think, because they try and get it to play with their parents, and then they're trying to beat their parents all the time. So that's always good.
Yeah, that's really good. Really good. Love that one, Neil. I think, because I saw 3 other hands go up, I think you reminded other people of theirs. Kev, you were first.
No, go with it because mine's completely different. So those are probably related to what.
Oh,
Neil
brilliant. Lovely Linda hasn't spoken for ages.
Yeah, it just reminded me of Neil there. I play the red game, where again it's just sort of looking at observations and just getting people to check both sides of the road on the pavements, just looking out for, first of all, I start off with red cars in driveways. And then when we go out onto a busier road, we're looking for people with red coats, red hats, red bags on both sides of the road. So it just gets them moving their eyes around. And then looking for anything that's red, which moves on to road signs and things like that. But but again, that's quite an eye opener.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the red being the danger.
Absolutely. Yeah, it reinforces, I was going to say, it reinforces that red and the connection, and then reinforces it with the warning signs and the speed limits and all the rest of it. Lovely, Linda. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Terry was before Di.
I can go first. Ladies first.
You know, he wants you to steal his thunder. Di, go for it.
Okay, because these guys are talking about forward observation. One that I have used for more effective use of mirrors, particularly if that's their goal, is I'll say to them, okay, give yourself a gold star every time you miss your mirror. And then after a short drive, we count up the stars they've given themselves. The stars are for them being aware that they've missed their mirrors. So it actually makes them aware when they are using them, when they're not using them. But it's actually a very positive reward for noticing that they've actually missed their mirrors.
Yeah. Yes, that's brilliant. I like that. I really like that. Yeah, that a weirdly positive reinforcement of a not quite so positive. Yeah.
Fiona, the question just come in. Would you use any of these on a part 3 or standards check, especially the get out of the car ones? So what does everybody think to
that? Di, are you answering that? As in verbally?
Yes,
or are you putting your hand up?
I can answer it verbally. If it helps the people to achieve their goal, absolutely.
Who else would agree with that, if it helps? Yeah, I think that's quite a unanimous thing. I think it's by agreement. There's no point in telling somebody to get out if they're going to be uncomfortable with it. It needs to be, it's that agreement kind of thing, in my opinion. But anyone else got anything to say on that specific thing before I move on? Terry?
I'd invite the examiner to come out with you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Just out of politeness.
Yeah.
So
well, you're going to miss what we're talking about if you stay there. So yeah, they can unfold themselves from the back.
Don't do it if it's raining though.
They can be in the back seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Who was next? Volunteer yourself. Someone was next. Terry.
Terry was next.
Guess who stole my thunder? Nearly. Similar kind of thing. We play the mirror game, and I give them 10 points, and they got to get to 20. If they get to 20, they get a prize, chocolate bar, whatever. If they get to 0, they lose. I get the prize, and it's just basically every time I check their mirrors when they should, they get a point. Every time I don't, they lose a point. Simple as that. They often lose the first one, and I don't want to buy them a chocolate bar. Again, to buy me a chocolate bar, so I said double or quits. And they normally win the second time round. But you've got to keep the little tip for this game is you've got to tell them whether they've won a point or lost a point or points, because they'll forget what score they're on. So it's left mirror, right mirror is 1 point each, middle mirror is another point. If they don't do any, oh man, it's like fatal.
Yeah, I like that. Forward observations, planning, those kind of things. I've got my version written here. There was somebody who, for whatever reason, and she was a very caring driver, and she missed pedestrian activity at a zebra crossing, and she was mortified. So we agreed the next session we would work on that. And I said, is it okay if I don't tell you what it is that we're going to do? And she said, yes, you know I love it when we do this stuff, she said. And I said, okay, the next time I have a letter. So I made sure I had a letter to post. I need you to post this letter. So you're looking for every single letterbox, but don't stop. Just, we're going to go around, drive, and you're going to point them all out. Then you're going to choose which one you're going to stop at, which one's most convenient, which one's easiest for you, blah, blah, blah. So she was driving around and saying, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. And then she said, after a little while, I've got it. I know why I'm doing this. You're making me look further back to see where the pedestrians would have been. This is about blah, blah. So I mean, you can, I think, again, is it sneaky? I'm thinking, what's this? Because this was a long time ago. And it was just, I'm just reminded of it. Got you, Terry. I'm just reminded of it because of what Linda and Di and I think Terry was saying. It just reminds me, oh, and Neil started it as well with the signs and things. It's just because it's something very specific, again, maybe because it's red, Linda, but it was about choices and things. And then it's the fact that she worked it out, that I was getting her to look further back from that, was because that was what she missed. It was the pedestrian activity around. Terry, didn't you put your hand up?
I did. I lost my mouse for a minute, sorry. And just as a footnote, you can change mirror game to anything, to gear game, to signal game. It doesn't have to be mirrors.
Yeah, yeah.
What
Mind
the
you,
points
I would
mean?
end up getting really, because I get competitive, I'd end up really wide, even wider, because I would want more
More?
chocolate.
Oh, I see.
Cake.
Shh. Salted caramel cheesecake. Oh, sorry. That was last night. Anyone else? Who was next? Kev, please.
I'll go with this one. If someone's feeling a bit nervous about a driving test, I normally play this game where the lesson before we agree that they're going to be the examiner and they have to get in the car and be examine my driving, and they have to give me a report at the end on how we've done.
Yeah.
So they have to plan beforehand and they have to judge my driving, have to spot the faults or pass me or fail me. And it's quite nice because it takes them away from the pressure of them being assessed to being the assessor. And that can be a quite interesting thought process for them because they look at what they're actually being assessed on before the lesson, so they know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They've done a bit of homework, which is quite good.
Yeah. I really like that, doing that. I also like the question of, because it comes up a lot for us, you know, you see a lot of Facebook posts with ADI saying the driver did so-and-so, and I don't think that, and it's that opinion thing. So the examiners have got their criteria, their assessment criteria, which is very different to opinion kind of criteria. So I say, well, okay, you told me that I did that and that. How would you mark it? Would you mark that as a big problem or a minor problem? Do you see I might have a different opinion? And I go back to that picture of a duck thing, because it's exactly that. I see a duck and you said you saw a rabbit. It's that exact thing because both opinions are there. Yeah, I think that's really valid, isn't it, Kev? Because it gets people to think about the differences that we have as drivers, even the bigger picture of the differences we have in opinion and stuff.
I think it's just putting people in a different perspective. You know, they see things from a different light, and it can open up new avenues for learning as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody had their hand up, and I think it was Phil. Was it you, Phil? It wasn't Phil. All right, I'm going to come up with Susie. I don't know if she was coming or not coming. She has to work often, and it could be school times. But Susie Cocaine. Some of us know Susie Cocaine. I didn't ask her if I could shout her name out, so I might say it again. Susie Cocaine. One of her games is The Lines Are Lava. So you know when you're changing lanes on a roundabout, you know when you need to move over on for example, a spiral roundabout, the lines are lava, so you have to really choose when the floor is lava. That's exactly what she said. It's exactly, and it's everybody. Well, lots of people have played that game as a kid. She also said that she's done that with people where they've done the Pokemon Go thing. So using the sat nav and the Pokemon, of course, safely and legally. I'm not talking about driving along trying to catch Pokemon. But she said the Pokemon Go, and then they drive to hotspots. And then the reward is to get the Pokemon that would be at the hotspots. I don't understand it, never playing Pokemon Go, but that sounds like a really good one. And she's also done the similar thing with the scaling of the sweets and reward and thing, like Terry was talking about. Gotcha, Di. Thanks, Susie. Di?
Oh, okay. Yes, I used to teach a lot in Brighton, and it's a bit like that all the time. Yeah, lots of hills. Most junctions were either, were uphill, and it used to be quite frustrating when people would come up to give way, and the road was completely clear, and they'd always put the handbrake on if they were rolling backwards. So the game that I used to play with a lot of people there was to for them to imagine that the car didn't actually have a handbrake. It doesn't have a handbrake. You can't use a handbrake. You have to control the car as if it didn't have a handbrake. And as soon as they stopped thinking about the handbrake, they've managed every uphill like perfect.
Yeah.
So, the only problem I had then, of course, was actually getting them to use a handbrake when they needed to.
Yeah, that's it.
But that was a great way of actually smoothing out all these uphill starts, because, and also in traffic, because it stopped them just keep going for the handbrake all the time as a safety device.
Yeah, love it. I had a whirligig from Terry. Linda, can I just ask, did you do that as well? All right, Linda's gone. Terry, if you go for your stuff now, and then I'll ask Linda in a second. I've got you, Neil, after that.
Linda's
Terry?
back.
Linda's back. Linda, did you put your hand up?
No.
All right. Okay.
I can do that.
Well, as soon as you've done it,
No.
hopefully you'll steal Terry's thunder. So, Linda, I invite you to speak first.
No, go on. I haven't got anything to say. It's fine.
Yes, you have. You have loads of things to say. Terry, go for your thing to say. Thanks. Lovely, Linda.
I've got to admit, this one's not mine. I got this from John Farlam. This is the assault course. And you find the toughest roads you can find on your area or whatever, it's very close by. And it's like a little route. Mine's in St Albans. I've got about maybe a 20-minute route. And there are signs that are kind of half turns. There are signs that are mossed over and stuff, and there's dead ends they can go down. There's no entries they can go down. Roads are really tight. There's one-way systems. It's the worst case of roads you can have. And the challenge is you've got to get around this assault course without any help from me. It's as simple as that. We have I make a joke of it. Got a box of tissues here for when you start crying, 'cause it's so tough. And I've got your mum on speed dial if you want to speak to her. When you get too emotional, we make a big joke of it. Surprise, surprise. But the thing is that no one has ever done it without any help from me in terms of saving my car. They've gone down dead ends and they've realised and they've turned around without any help. That's fine. But the best thing about this is afterwards, it's the conversation. It's how much more difficult would that have been with your friends in the car, or would the radio have been on quite so loud if you were doing those roads? Or what if you're late for work, you're not quite sure where you're going? Would that have? And that's because they then see that, there's some tough roads. And I say to them, look, there's no these roads aren't on any test routes or anything. So if you can do these roads, you can drive anywhere. And it's really quite enlightening as well to also find out where they're at. it's also quite good to use if they think they should book in their test. I say, okay, well, let's go do this sort of course. You know, and they drive into the school because the left is a no entry. They don't see the road on the right, and they go straight through the school gates if the school gates are open. That's quite funny sometimes. I'm in a school. How do I get in here? Well, don't know. We can do about it. Anyway, so yeah, find the toughest roads you can find in your area and make a little route, and it's a really good awareness.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I just call it the route from hell. Do you fancy the route from hell? Yeah, the route from hell. So sometimes you're phrasing it all nicely. I've got you, Mick. I'll just come to you in a second. But there's all sorts of things like, you know, road signs that show a crossroads. And then when you get there, I say, follow the road ahead to freighting. And they're looking at the sign, and I say, do you notice anything? And they're going, no, no. Do you notice anything yet? Do you notice anything yet? There is no road to follow the road ahead. You're just looking at a grass verge and some bushes. There's no road. And I say, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they've got it on the sign then. So yeah, it's the route from hell, and it's or I'm not going to tell you where you're going until you tell me there's a junction. It's those kind of things with routes. Yeah, I've got it on there. Oh, I love that when there's loads going on. Terry, have you got anywhere like that? I've got one that's yeah. Voyage of Discovery is the other one. The Voyage of Discovery is another
Like
route.
that name. But I think that sounds too nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they
they
usually end up a little bit cross with me.
They do with me as well. Why'd you bring me down here?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, what have you discovered?
Yeah. You're an arsehole normally. I swear.
Yeah, so the Voyage
No.
of Discovery, I've got two, but it's exactly the same thing, where you invite people to, you know, do you want something a little bit more? And that one I need to because that needs to be by agreement, because it needs to be because it's a longer route. It's much more interesting. I'd love to do it to you guys as well. Mick, go for yours, please. Mick, we can't
hasn't
hear
learned
you.
yet, has he? He still hasn't learned yet.
Well, he pushed it. I know, he clicked
We've
it.
been on lockdown for 2 months. You should have to work Zoom by now.
I use it every day as well.
Fan. Says it all.
I've got you, Neil.
Anchoring.
Busy preparing my my thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to go to a screen share shortly just to show you this. But I have a game called Car Park Challenge. We've got a car park which is it's a bit, there's car parking spaces all over the place. So what I tend to do before they've even reversed into a car parking space, I'll get them to drive forward into one of the bays. I'll show you, and then they've got to try. Let me just see if I can get this up. Bingo. So I get them to drive into bay 1, and the challenge is to reverse into bay bay B. The red bit, the red line, is a curb, and it's a little bit like Terry's, where I give them a bit of an incentive. So if they get it in bay B, they get a Mars bar. There's an actual shop in that car park as well. I've never bought a Mars bar yet. And then once they've done that, they can go for a bay 2 if they want into bay 1. This car park's always empty, or virtually always empty, especially at that end there. It's really good to see them how they work out which way to steer. We often end up if you look at the picture, in the bottom left hand corner somewhere facing down there on the first attempt. And then obviously it's double or quits, and yeah, they don't win anything. But it's quite cheeky for them to do. I'm just going to bring you back onto the normal thing.
Just to recap,
Yeah.
Was it you start off in A and reverse to 1, or you start off in 1 and reverse to?
No, start in 1,
Right.
and reverse into normally into 2. So there's a space on the side of you, because
Okay.
next to bay A there is another curb, so it just adds a little bit more. So once I've managed bay B, you get me into A, so it just makes it a little bit more difficult again. But it is a great one. We've even had, one of the guys has even put a drone up. One of my instructors, he's come down with a drone and filmed somebody trying to do it with us doing it, and it's
Yeah. Yeah, I would love a drone. I would love it, absolutely.
It's just a different. It's different from the normal instructors doing the normal reverse parks, reversing that bay over and over and over again, and it just gets them thinking.
You've just reminded me of one, and then Neil, I'll come to you. And has anyone else wanted to say something? Because I know Neil's gasping, but yours is very similar to yours, Mick. You know those people, and I meet these on all sorts of courses, mostly full license holders, and they say, oh, I never managed parallel parking. I can't do it. Don't make me do it. And I say, okay, I won't. But would you have liked to challenge it if you thought I could help you? And then you get agreement and all the rest of it. And you go and you park in that bay. And then you say, oh, sorry, just realised I'm too high. Can you go from that bay? Oh, sorry. In order for me to explain the next thing, I've got you to stop in the wrong place. Can you reverse from this bay into this one here? So I don't know if I'm the right way around, can't tell at all. And then you do that. And then as they reverse back and over, as soon as they're straight, you say, I thought you told me you can't do parallel parking.
Yeah.
And then again, it's the same thing. And then they actually look around and realise all you've done is transpose it. So you're using a car park. If I'm not making sense, I can put a diagram up of it. But it's using a different environment to show it's the same process, whether there's a car there or not.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mick. Had you finished explaining?
Yeah, that car park is great for doing that as well. I'm going to have to go, my delivery's arrived.
Okay, thank you. Neil and Terry, I think, of course.
Mine's similar to Di's, and Di reminded me about it actually, is I get mine to pretend that the indicators are not working. So I get them to agree that we're going to do the lesson without indicators today and do arm signals. And that's quite interesting as well, because it can get quite confusing at times, remembering what signal to give and where. But that's fun.
Much fun. Best to do it on a wet, rainy day, I think. Much better.
No, I don't think so. Only on a sunny day.
Oh, okay. Okay. Who was it? Whoosh. Sorry, with the mouse, I couldn't see any of you. That was very strange. Yeah, Terry, go for it, please.
This one isn't really a game, it's more an exercise. It's a very, very interesting game, exercise actually. I've used it a handful of times only, and you'll find out why in a sec. It's when people really have problem with mirrors and you've exhausted all other angles. You've talked to them about, everything you need to talk about, and they're still struggling to remember. I take them, this is really important that you keep control here and you make sure everything's safe. By taking to an quiet estate, and I turn the mirrors in and I move the interior mirror down so they can't see anything behind at all. I still can't, I've got my mirror. And then just get them just go around the block. And it hasn't failed yet. But the most interesting thing is when they start feeling nervous and they want the mirrors, they don't say, can I put the mirrors back? Every single time they say, can I put my mirrors back?
Oh, nice.
Every single time. I found it so interesting to say my mirrors. I say, yeah, you want your mirrors back? You have them back. So we put them back out and it works. The mirrors are just like, not perfect, but so much better than it was. And it lasts. And I think that's a really, obviously be in control and keep safe. But if you want to try that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, that's a really good one. Kev, were you going to respond to that because of the NLP bit?
No. It's something. Well, it's like but it's about.
I've got you, Sammy.
Person with mine, he just wouldn't check mirrors. He couldn't see the point in it. He just. What's the point of looking back when you're just going forward? That was his probably attitude there. But we got on to stopped. We had a little chat, and we started talking about television programs. And one of the things at the time was Love Island was on. So I've never wasn't watching it, and I said, well, tell me about it. Who's your favourite characters in it and what's happened? And he mentioned 2 people. We actually met 3 in the end. I said, well, that's handy then. Imagine those 3 people, ladies, obviously. And I said, imagine them are in each of those mirrors and name the mirrors of those people. And, you know, tell me what you can see. And he went, okay, so this is going to be called this is going to be called this, and this is going to be called this person. I said, okay, so we've named them. We went then driving, and I've never seen anyone all of a sudden start to look in their mirrors more. Because he's got a reason to check them again, you know, he's maybe not looking behind, but it did actually develop because he'd only started to notice a car overtaking him or things behind him. But it came from that initial interest of having, shall we say, a lady in the mirrors that you could look at. But there you go. Just a little something for someone.
It is. Love it. Thank you. Good one. Sammy, you're free.
Hello. Right, so I just thought I'd put in another game. So when my students are finding trouble scanning for the right things, so I get them parked up and get them to have a look around, close their eyes, and then I'll pick something in the scene while they've got their eyes closed that they've got to name. So I'll say, what colour is the door on number 23? And they'll say, I've got no idea. And then they'll look and they say, oh, it's white. So I said, well, if you were looking for white doors, you would have known, wouldn't you? You know, that it was white. So the idea is that they're specifically looking for a particular thing. So then we kind of plan to pick one thing that they're going to scan for on like a little circuit. So it could be crossings. So every time they see one, they'll say crossing, and you go around, and then they'll get the idea of scanning for crossings and then pick something else. So it could be warning triangles, for instance. So then when they go around again, they're still seeing the crossings, but they're also then adding in an extra layer of the warning triangles. And then you go around again and do something else. And what you're doing is just building up their awareness of everything in small little steps, little bite-sized pieces. And it works really well. I use that quite a lot. And once they realise that actually scanning is not that difficult because I'm just picking out the most important things first and then gathering everything else in, that works well. So it's kind of a game. But most of my games are around scanning for some reason.
Well, I think that's a big issue. One of my favourite games is around the compulsion to go over the speed limit. I don't know if has anyone got any of those? Ian?
I know you have.
I do, but I really like that one. We all have that desire to go just a little bit faster, just because I'll get there quicker. Apart from the facts of how much time you save when you do a mile at 2 different speeds, which I won't go into. But if you get someone to time a route and you say you're going to do 2 versions, one is at the speed limit legally, one is 5 miles an hour lower. Never allowed 5 miles. So if it's a 30 limit, 25 will be the maximum. And you ask them to choose which route, ask them how long, and then you literally time it. And sometimes the quick one is slower than the fast one. It's actually the wrong way around. Because when you are doing it more slowly, of course, when you come up to the roundabout, your approach speed is already. So do try it. Time a route, but you have to be very accurate. And obviously the timing, you've got to be legal with how you're using a timer. Just to point it out. And it depends, obviously, full license holder and learner driver would obviously be a different criteria. I think there's a couple of people. Phil, I can see you. Yeah, you're almost throwing things at me, Phil. For goodness sake. We've got to stop soon, guys. But Phil, yes, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that sort of speed business, it's very similar to doing fuel efficient driving with people, isn't it? Where you're planning your route. I've done it with the online grocery companies where you do a route the way they want to drive it, and then they do the route with you and talking them through it. And the time is very, well, it's usually absolutely no different, but the saving in fuel is quite amazing. I had one bloke, we saved 30% on his fuel consumption. It was quite
Yeah.
incredible. But you know, the time, it's just making them aware.
Yeah, it is. You know, somebody who drives 1 mile, if you, Phil, drive your mile at 30 miles an hour, and I drive my mile at 35 miles an hour, I only have to wait for you for 17 seconds,
Yeah.
which is it's just zero. It's just zero. I think we've got because I was thinking only an hour for this. I think we could go on and on and on. I think I've got a few more about tailgaters, about gaps, about safe distances between the car in front to reinforce 2-second rule. Don't you dare unmute yourself, Terry. Kev, are you getting ready for a recap? And Terry, go. Speak. Oh, you're not going to speak. You're going to pretend to be
Me
friendly.
first. Sorry, I think you were Kev first.
Yeah.
I'll tell
No.
you what, we could do another one. We'll do it again.
Well, we'd have to make sure we've got enough then. We'll have a conflab. I think there's more time in this one. I think we can actually go into a little bit more detail about what else we could do. Because what I've noticed is that when you guys speak, it's reminding me of more things that I can do. If anyone's shown anything or put any ideas up and they think some visuals would help, can you put it in the Facebook thread, please? That doesn't really help the recording that Neil's in control of. But thank you. If you think, viewers, attendees, if you think we should have another one of these and then we get some more things going, if you're watching on Facebook and you want to add some, absolutely. Because I think there's more mileage in this one. I don't know what you guys think. So I'm just open to some opinions. Q&A from down, you know, so one of the attendees has got a question. Kev, do you think we should do a recap? And then Neil, can you read? Oh, you've already read it, Neil.
Yeah. If you don't do it again, could you list them and explain? Loving these, thanks for the ideas. So,
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. We've all been playing games for years. Obviously, it's just we wouldn't normally admit to it because I don't know. It could sound non-professional. I'm hoping it doesn't come across like we aren't thinking about the right thing for our particular drivers, whoever they are. Kev, can we have a recap? Because otherwise I get into trouble for going over.
Okay. Keith started off with an email. He said he changed his roles, being the instructor and the student, to see what they notice. Sammy has a guessing game of what's round the bend, and they get a time bonus, which adds up to their lessons.
Massive reward.
Mick says he closes his eyes. No, sorry. He gets them to close their eyes. Sorry. From the passenger seat to get used to their senses. Phil uses road signs. What's around the bend? More information. What does that road sign actually mean? Terry's into saving fishes from his little bowls. Neil's got a ping pong ball, but he uses it on his lessons to try and get the ping pong ball to stay on the plate, and he has forfeits with them as well. Sammy uses moves cards to identify feelings and uses the questions and things on the back of them to ask about how they're feeling. Mick doesn't like using his brakes or stopping because he's after saving some money on brake pads and stuff like that. Di uses games for development and distraction. Terry says, just give me a jaw rake. Only speak when they've done good things, so thinks of the positives. Fiona practices being a bank robber, and Terry practices being good cops, chasing the bad cops, or bad people, should I say. I shouldn't say bad cops.
D.I. Burnside.
Burnside, sorry.
Oh, listening skills.
What?
It's an ageist game, that one.
You what?
It's an ageist game, Terry's one. You got.
Sorry, I digress. Anyway, Di likes getting outside the car, going for a walk, and she gets the pupils to step forward when they could go at a roundabout. Quite an interesting. Fiona does it as well. and she gets them to use their feet as the pedals. So they practice moving their right foot forward first. Neil's looking for houses for sale. He's thinking about moving, looking to spot those for sale signs. Linda's interested in the colour red, so she goes through looking for red things on the move, and she gets the pupil to spot them for her. Terry uses mirrors, and they get prizes and points for using their mirrors a lot. Di uses the mirrors slightly more interestingly. They get a gold star for missing the mirrors, but it's actually the noticing of them missing the mirrors that they get the reward for. And could we use games on standards checks? Yes, as long as it helps them achieve their goal. This helps everyone. Fiona has posting letters, so she goes and finds post boxes on driving lessons. Susie uses lines as lava and likes playing Pokemon Go. Di's got a broken handbrake, which I think why she's changed the car now. So what does the students do if they haven't got a handbrake? Terry uses tough routes on his students to see what they notice or not notice or where they go. Mick uses a car parking spaces to get them to think differently and manoeuvre their car around the car park. Neil's car's also broken and the signals aren't working, so how do people have to tell other people where they're going? But you won't use it in the rain. I said about naming the mirrors, get people to take interest in the mirrors so they notice things. Sammy scans stuff, but only one thing at a time so they can build the most important things one thing at a time, what they need to. And you and Phil mentioned about speed and how that can be used to have fuel consumption and save fuel for the planet. And my little summary of it all, it's lovely playing games, but it's more about afterwards and the conversations you have afterwards and what they noticed, what they feel, and their thoughts on how they drove when we did all these games, which might be the next session, but just a thought from me.
Nice thought. If anyone else has any following thoughts, was that a wave and a chat, Terry?
I was clapping Kev's summary.
It was a very good summary. Couple of things from the attendees. Oh yeah, Terry's replied to that. Very interested to hear more. So it's an interesting thing. I do think there is more mileage in this. I'm gonna stop the Facebook Live recording, but thank you very much if you were watching on Facebook Live. It's been wonderful having you here.